he was unharmed. Frightened, though. It left a deeper scar on his mother and father. It left a scar on me, too. I wonder how many of those people out there on the street felt cheated. Nothing happened. Nothing. No murder. No killing. Nobody thrown out of the tower. All it was that somebody came to church for sanctuary. Yep. Copy, boy.
Night Beat, starring Frank Lovejoy, is produced and directed by Warren Lewis. Tonight's transcribed story was written by Celie Glester and Merwin Gerard, with music by Robert Armbruster. The part of Benton was played by Stacey Harris. Others in tonight's cast were Joan Banks, Norman Field, John Stevenson, Harry Bartell, Jack Crucian, and Ted DeCorsia. Frank Lovejoy can currently be seen co-starring with Joan Crawford and Robert Young in Warner Brothers' Goodbye, My Fancy.
Sanctuary from June 22nd, 1951. The film promoted at the end there, Goodbye, My Fancy, was directed by Vincent Sherman and based on a hit stage play by Faye Kanan. A couple other prominent radio actors appeared in that film, Lorraine Tuttle and our Miss Brooks star Eve Arden. Frank Lovejoy did quite a few films. He played Matt Savetic in the big screen version of the nonfiction book and radio series I Was a Communist for the FBI. Was seen as Humphrey Bogart's former war buddy in A Lonely Place, and was a police detective investigating Vincent Price in House of Wax. The name, but three. I'm Greg Belly. Coming up next on When Radio Was, we'll resume the soap opera, Mary Foster, the Editor's Daughter, right after this break.
Sam Spade Detective Agency.
Steely, seasoned, smart alecky. The storied San Francisco snooper is back. Share the exciting exploits of Dashiell Hammett's famous gumshoe with Radio Spirit's thrilling 8-hour CD collection, The Adventures of Sam Spade, Lawless.
In most murder cases, there are too many suspects, too many motives, and too many clues from the very beginning. I'd been on this one 3 hours, and I succeeded in turning up no suspects, no clues, and the most shameful thing of all, I had lost the body of the victim.
As crass as he is charismatic, this dynamic detective attracts a curious clientele. There are gentlemen who tend to drop dead.
He was hugging the carpet between the front and the rear seats, and when I nudged him, he didn't move. He'd been shot at closer range in Gordon Martini, and the killer had used only one slug. It was planted in the base of his brain.
And there are ladies who are drop-dead gorgeous.
The only thing wrong with Sugar Cane's dance was her dancing, but the customers didn't seem to mind, and I didn't either. It was a pleasure to size her up carefully, as I would have felt obliged to do anyway in my professional capacity.
For a limited time, The Adventures of Sam Spade, Lawless is being made available to our listeners at 60% off the regular price. Get 16 of the series' most madcap capers on 8 compact discs for only $12.78. Just go to radiospirits.com or call 855-798-5560 and use offer code SAM77 to save yourself some money.
Money's not what I really want.
What do you want?
Someone I can trust.
Me too, Sugar.
Oh, Sam, you're what I want. Say you want me to. Please say it.
We will say that this offer ends soon. So order The Adventures of Sam Spade, Lawless today at radiospirits.com or call 855-798-5560 and use offer code SAM77.
Good night, Sam.
Good night, sweetheart.
This offer is available for a limited time to U.S. residents only and cannot be combined with any other.
Just a moment. Don't settle back in your chair. You're going for a ride. Ready?
Are you ready to never miss a When Radio Was episode and stream the most recent shows for free?
I am.
Then get our Radio Spirits app today. Download it at the App Store for your iPhone or at Google Play for your Android.
Alice is madly in love with Phil, and Phil is madly in love with Phil.
And we're madly in love too, with free streams on the Radio Spirits app. Try one of our premium plans and get thousands more of our other radio shows such as Sherlock Holmes, Dragnet, Gunsmoke, Our Miss Brooks, Jack Benny, Yours Truly Johnny Dollar, and many more. You can also download your favorite classic radio shows for offline listening, bookmark programs, and resume play whenever and wherever you'd like.
I don't know if I can stand the shock. Come clean. What's the problem?
There's no problem if you want free When Radio Was daily streams. Just download the Radio Spirits app today with no risk or obligation. Get a free trial now for your iPhone at the App Store or for your Android at Google Play.
Welcome back to When Radio Was as we continue to check in on Mary Foster, the Editor's Daughter. Enjoy.
And now, Mary Foster, the editor's daughter. Mrs. Edna Darby failed to convince Mary Foster Lord that she should not marry Fred Hunt when she's in love with Dr. Bill Nelson. She has told Mary's father, Henry, that she will not give up her efforts yet, however, to which Henry replied,
I know, that's all fine, Edna, but the point is, what are you going to do?
Houses. Well, at the moment, I don't know.
Blessed if I can think of anything anybody can do. If Mary's made up her mind, she's made it up. And it's likely to stay that way.
Yes, but I've also made up my mind, too, Henry. And I've never been considered exactly a weakling.
Well, no, of course you ain't, but... You know, I wouldn't want anything done that would make Mary so mad she'd never speak to either of us again.
Even that would be better than for her to marry a man she doesn't love.
Well, now, suppose we talk that over for a minute or two here.
All right.
Fred Hunt is a pretty good feller in the last analysis, ain't he?
Yes.
And where Mary was in love with him before, why, maybe she can be again.
Henry, she never was in love with Fred.
My gracious, she was on the point of marrying him.
She never really was in love with Fred, I know. She's known Fred all her life. And as any girl might, she's had occasional crushes on him. She's always liked him. And sometimes in a girl's mind, the dividing line between liking a man and being in love with him doesn't seem too great. Oh, but there's all the difference in the world, Henry.
Maybe so, I don't know.
She likes Fred, but she's in love with Dr. Nelson. And if she marries Fred, she'll be miserable. Oh, of course, if she weren't in love with the doctor, she might make a fairly successful marriage with Fred.
I wish I knew what could be done.
Well, I'm going downtown now, Henry. I may think of something before I get back. Anyway, I'm with you in the matter. 100.
Well, hello, Mrs. Darby.
Hello, Fred. How are you?
Fine, thanks. Won't you have a chair?
Thank you. I've just been hearing some very interesting news about you and Mary.
Yeah, I guess everything's all set for our wedding, Mrs. Darby. What I mean, I'm plenty happy about it.
I imagine you are. Fred, I like you personally very much, as does everyone else. But I'm duty-bound to say that you are not the man to marry Mary Foster.
Why not?
For the very simple and sufficient reason that she's in love with another man.
Oh, is that so? Well, somehow or other, that remark's got a familiar ring to it. I guess maybe you've been talking with Henry, haven't you?
Yes, but I'm not here representing Henry. He doesn't even know I'm here. I merely decided that the thing to do was to sit down and have a talk with you, Fred.
Well, if you're going to try to talk me out of marrying her, you're just wasting your time.
No, I don't think so. You're a reasonable man. And I think I can explain matters so you'll see them as I want you to.
Well, not a chance. You say Mary's in love with another man?
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you say that, you don't give her credit for having any intelligence or any sense, Mrs. Darby. She's not the sort of a girl to marry a man she's not in love with.
Well, there are circumstances. Now listen to me. If you could be shown, beyond the shadow of a doubt, that Mary is in love with Bill Nelson, would you call off the marriage?
You can't show me she is.
I said if you could be shown. Well, what about it?
I'm making no promises.
Well, will you do this, Fred? Will you go to Mary and ask her directly if she's in love with Bill?
Well, why should I? I tell you, she wouldn't be marrying me if she wasn't in love with me.
You haven't answered my question, Fred. Will you ask her?
Oh, I don't know. I'll think it over.
Then if Mary can truthfully deny that she loves Bill, you'll find that I'll be one of the first to offer you my heartiest congratulations.
No, I don't see that this is any of your business anyway.
It's my business because I think the world of Mary. I'm sure you can appreciate that fact, Fred. And I doubt very much that you'd want to marry her if you felt that both of you were going to be unhappy.
Okay, Mrs. Darby, I'll consider what you said. But I don't want any more talk made about it now.
You're almost an hour this evening and you've hardly said a word. What's the matter?
Oh, I've been doing some thinking.
About what?
Well, you know, when you called me over to say you'd decided you'd marry me...
Well, I didn't put it quite that way, did I?
Well, that's the general idea. Anyway, you wouldn't let me kiss you, which seemed kind of strange for a girl who's just told a man she'd marry him.
Fred, that didn't mean anything?
It meant plenty to me. Oh, I admit I didn't worry too much about it right then. But in view of a talk I had this afternoon, I'm doing a lot of thinking about it right now.
Talk?
Well, a certain woman came to my office and proceeded to tell me she didn't think I ought to marry you. And the reason she gave was that you're in love with Doc Nelson.
Who was that?
Well, that doesn't make any difference.
Oh, yes, it does, too. I want to know. Was it Mrs. Darby, Fred?
Yeah.
Well, what right had she to go to your office and tell you a thing like that?
Well, to give her credit, I guess she thought she was acting in your best interest. But, well, it didn't go over well with me. Are you in love with him?
Fred, I've said I'd marry you, haven't I? It seems to me that should be your answer.
Well, that's what I told her. But she said she knew for a fact you were in love with him. So, what does that make me?
Look, I don't want you to pay one single bit of attention to what she said. Honestly, that makes me simply furious.
Well, I'm glad it does. And it sort of goes to show that she wasn't as right as she thought she was. Well, I got a tough day ahead of me tomorrow, so I guess I'll mosey along home. Kiss me goodnight. Yeah, that's more like it. Night, hon.
Good night, Fred.
I'm Greg Bell, and you're listening to Mary Foster, the Editor's Daughter, on News Radio 105.9 WBBM.
We can beat them all.
Service to a green tea.
Hi, this is Tonya Khoury of Green Tea Windows. Increase the beauty and value of your home with our exceptional, energy-efficient